call the public safety meeting to order for Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. I will declare we have a quorum. And the chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda for tonight's agenda. And the meeting from our minutes from our last meeting of April 24th, 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Sailor, second by Hess. Would you say?
Just a correction on the minutes from,
Oh, okay, discussion. Go ahead, chief.
under number 6, fire department. The fifth bullet truck report should be engine 3.
Which one was that? Number, item 6?
Item 6, the fifth bullet truck report should be engine 3.
Fifth bullet point, right? Said?
Yep, it says truck report, engine should be 3. And
Replacing the bumper on engine 3
no,
on the 24th, right? 24th minutes?
yes,
Yeah, truck report.
Truck report, engine in Marshfield.
engine 3 in
All right.
Marshfield.
Engine through, okay,
Yeah.
not replacing the bumper on engine 3.
That's engine.
Engine 3 in Marshfield.
Okay.
Would you so note that?
Yep. It's noted.
We will amend it. So the minutes, will reflect the item 6, fifth bullet point, truck report, engine 3 in Marshfield. Getting work done, due back tomorrow, no update on replacing the bumper on engine 1. Is that correct, chief?
It is.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. I have no comments. Anybody online there, chief?
Nope.
No. Public comments. Chief, you didn't have anything, did you? Comments? Okay. All right, item number 6, take her away, chief. Fire report.
Oh, that's one. Probably an average month for May or end of April, most of May. Bunch of fire alarms, couple structure fires, and then, a lot of different, EMS calls throughout the last 30 days or so. We've ordered a new light bar for the brush truck, because the freebies didn't work. Engine 3 did come back from SNR up in Marshfield. They did do the pump test. I think it passed. I just got the report like an hour ago. We did find when we were doing vehicle maintenance last Wednesday that there's a mix-up of gauges reading incorrectly when certain levers are activated, so we gotta talk to them about getting that fixed. Chris Diggles and Jessica Lease are associate members, beginning that 4th, after being cleared through the Police and Fire Commission. And we've got one more applicant, went through the interview and background, just waiting on the medical, physical, drug testing. Year to date, we're slightly lower than we were this time last year. There was a variety of different meetings and trainings throughout the last 30 days. And then the summary of vehicle condition, mileage and stuff is on page 2. Hose testing will be contracted out with National Hose Testing Specialties out of Michigan. The date hasn't been set yet as to when they're coming. to do both post testing and. Do we have a contact for the owner of the parking lot and warehouse where Milk Specialties is?
I'm sure Diane does,
Okay,
over in the office.
they need for the hose testing, they need an area of about 250 by 250 feet. And one of those parking lots out there would be ideal, I think, if we can make that happen, so.
I'm sure they'd be more than glad to accommodate.
Alright, I'll get ahold of Diane for name and number there.
Where is that company out of? Where'd they move in here from? Is it over north of Green Bay? Was it a Marinette or something?
thought it was Boston area, somewhere in there,
Oh. Alright.
Watoma, somewhere.
People that went into the old PDC.
Milk Specialties just lease it from a company.
Correct, yeah, that's the company I'm looking to contact. No, no special, I'll probably have to touch base with them and make sure. That it's
Demo works there, maybe he's done something.
perfect schedule and whatever.
You met those people?
Not the owners, I make contact with the workers pretty regularly as I'm driving through, but
Their parking lot is ideal compared to anything else we got. Local. We'll be putting in for the DNR Forest Fire Protection Grant for a myriad of, PPE, equipment, foam. Yeah, so that's due July 1st. Oh, one thing I didn't note on here is that, Associate, Cassidy Sayers has completed entry level and passed the written test. She's completed firefighter 1, passed the written test. Practical scheduled for late June. And she just, last week, completed and passed the hazmat ops class, so she is very near being recommended, to become a full-time firefighter. Questions, comments, concerns?
Anything for chief?
We have nothing.
That it? Okay, PD chief.
okay, first I have to mention to my lovely bride, 25 years of marriage today, so. So here I am. Just put up with me 25 years, you would.
Aaron Carter on and.
Yeah. Right, exactly. So Officer Murtis attended a one-day elder abuse training. Did go into some of the aspects of financial crimes against the elderly. Felt this was important because those type of incidences are happening at Edgewater, and we do get complaints fairly regularly. We did.
Do you share that information with county?
You know, I don't know. You mean with like human services? Yes, that we do. Yes,
With Brandon?
Yes,
Good.
correct. Yep.
Good. Thank you.
That all gets referred through human services.
Good.
We did participate in a 5-hour click it or ticket grant. It was a little bit more troubling this time as our main highway has been shut down. So I had to go play over on Highway 13 for a while. We have been, this has been going on for a couple years already, but we're finally making some headway. There's a cold case that happened. Actually, my father was the officer on duty when this body was located over near Nepco Lake back in 1975. And so the sheriff's department and village report and all these people did great work back then. We're hoping to find some new information on it. The case file just kind of jumped out of the the file cabinet at me. We have gathered some steam and gotten some interest out of the state, laboratory. One of the forensic pathologists is, trying to do some research down there, but we did come up with some reports that we didn't have. We're hoping to put some closure. It's basically an unexplained death. Female was found out in the woods. Had been missing for about 3 weeks and, yeah, so we're hoping to put some closure to a family. We believe it was a homicide. It was investigated as a homicide. But unfortunately, it was, the death certificate says unknown. And so we're hoping to be able to look at old stuff to be able to find something new. So, Officer Brundage has been kind of working on that when she works part-time for us, so. We did have the drug take back at the fire department, again with the road closed, and I didn't promote it as much as I normally do just because of the fact that I knew it was gonna be more difficult to get to. We did have some folks show up and turn in prescriptions though, so. Then we've had some incidents over at Ripple Creek, both in the bathrooms and now most recently this last weekend at the concession stand. We do the new cameras that the village put up over at both parks. Greatly beneficial. We have photos and videos of the suspects. I believe in both cases. I haven't looked into the second one yet, but so it's just a matter of identifying, but just kids being kids and throwing toilet paper and paper towel in the drains and trying to flood it. And it looks like at one point they tried to start a fire in the garbage can in there, which could have been serious.
It's not my kids, is it?
No, and that's the thing is I have viewed the video footage from the first incident, which was the vandalism. And they weren't kids that I recognize. I don't think they're our kids.
The age, 12-year-olds.
No, actually, I would say probably 15-ish. And in the first incident, there was a vehicle that pulled up. We can't get a good description on that, but so there's, the potential 15, 16, 17. I'm thinking they're Rapids kids, or Nakusa, but, I have the videos and now I just need to get some pictures sent out to the other agencies, but we do have stuff going on. Honor Guard, I went down to the law enforcement memorial.
Quick question.
Oh, absolutely.
How much is dollars and how much was the vandal?
As far as that goes, it was just a cleanup,
Okay.
so, the crew does a great job with maintaining that and, they didn't make a big deal out of it. Luckily, the building's concrete. So again, they weren't able to do any like permanent damage.
Okay,
What
so.
time did the camera shoot?
Sure you would ask me that now. It was during the middle of the day. It was 3:46, something like that. And like I say, it wasn't our kids, so, it just a little odd. The other one, the attempted break-in at the concession stand was overnight. And, I just got that. I haven't looked at the photos yet, but Josiah handled that complaint over the weekend, so. Sure.
Where is, excuse me, where's the concession stand?
It's right next to the parking lot at Ripple Creek
Okay.
in the ball diamond there.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so same
I just can't
location.
mentally place. it.
Yep, absolutely. And that's a newer,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
newer building. I went down to the law enforcement memorial last week in Madison. We also, Josiah and I helped out with two former retired deputy funerals. Here in town, Mike Malooly, good friend of mine, passed away after, I think, 6 years of retirement. And then Harold Cox was a deputy. He's actually the father-in-law of David Bryan, who was a port guy and retired from the sheriff's department, but.
Outspoken Mr. Cox.
Yeah, both great guys and the family was very appreciative. I mean, we do that, pro bono. So we don't ask for compensation. We just helped out the county, so it works real nice. I don't have it written on here, but, I received an email from Dwayne recently about evaluations. Apparently it was brought up in FHR about, starting evals on the employees for the upcoming discussion for budget. It wasn't asked of me as of yet, but I wanted to get ahead of the game and bring it to my committee first, but what I had relayed to Dwayne is that under President Zerflu, I was instructed not to provide evaluations of my personnel to the village administrator. After President Zerflu was no longer the administrator or the president, I was essentially, I don't want, threatened is not the right word, but I was instructed by the administrator that if I didn't provide the evaluations for my employees, that there would be consequences. And so I did do some evals and forward them to him.
Both they're very generic.
They were,
They,
the
civilians gotta get it through their head.
well, and so
Both
that's.
of you are protected by that. You're both protective agencies.
So my communication with Dwayne is I have no problem with providing guidance to the civilian board that my reviews were acceptable or unacceptable. I'm a little reluctant to say, you know, without guidance, and I don't think Dwayne would do that, but so I asked the committee what level, I have no problem with doing evaluations on my employees, of course.
For payroll stuff, fine, but you don't go into the nitty gritty of that and.
Well, that was, I guess.
My understanding too is, I think what Joe was saying, for the financial implication for the budget,
Mhm.
you've got three that are superb and you're gonna give
Correct.
them an X raise, or one that's average, you're gonna give them a Y raise than you need for the budget. That is acceptable, but not how they're doing, or if they've
No,
got.
well, I heard about this officer, that should come into effect that you're having, he's got an attitude or something like that.
None of that stuff, none of the performance evaluation,
He
just,
goes from that to PFC. That's.
Okay. but financial implications is adequate.
Is he a
Okay.
good employee?
Yep, then he deserves
He
deserves.
About being a police officer.
Yes, but. Let me continue that. Who determines the pay raise amounts for the village employees?
FHR would be then it comes to the board.
In the last 10 years, it's been a certain percentage across the board.
Okay,
It
just
hasn't
last,
been this one,
okay, and just everybody gets three, or do they, okay,
whatever that number is, yeah.
okay, just so I understand, I appreciate that.
So this comes back down to the org chart that Jason was complaining about and everybody. If you look at the org chart that to me was passed, maybe I voted on it, maybe I didn't, I don't remember seeing it a certain way.
Mhm.
But it used to be police and fire were off to the side underneath the board, and then when it passed administrator, they put it underneath the administrator.
He did and the board approved it.
I don't remember voting for that. I don't think I would have voted, but I could be wrong. And then that was Jason's thing where chief wanted it to be separate,
As it should have been.
you know, underneath the board, but not underneath, you know, on the same path as the administrator. That alleviates a lot of this. You need to do this, you need to do this. You take direction from the board, president, whatever, if need be,
Mhm.
but you do what you have to do. You know, you're not under that microscope that caused some
Right.
issues in the past.
Well, and to be clear, I don't have a problem with doing that to the administrator, like, I don't have an issue with that, I know you do, but I don't.
Not if it's just
But-
about a good employee, bad employee.
Well, see, my issue is in it doesn't necessarily mean this board or the next board or whatever, but at what point does it come down to, well, FHR wants to see them now?
Absolutely.
You know, and so now, you know, is somebody's attendance now the scrutiny of the board, or is it still the department head? and it-
You got it.
You know, and so again, you know, and I've always said, if you trust in me, I'm doing what's best for the village. And, you know, if I've got a problem employee, you're gonna know about it. If they're also gonna know about it,
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know, I deal with that as it goes.
And everything you said is gospel, but they don't have to know the particulars.
Well, that's where I'm going. And Boz's eval was quite generic. There was like 4 different categories
He
and,
just thought, to be honest with you, you probably didn't vote on it. He was just doing this. And I'm as guilty, probably more so than anybody. I never called him on it.
again, I just, before it came to a head, you know, with FHR, cause the way I read the email, of course, I read it as FHR, you know, wants these. And then as I read it, yeah, I reread it and it appears to me that they want them to be done. It's not that they're actually asking.
Well,
For that.
22 years being on the fire department, we never once had to have an eval
No,
until Boz put the administrator over top, and then Jason had to do an eval for all of us. And we never saw any data from that. We submitted, we had to give 2 names or something, or we were given 2 names that are on a scale of 1 to 10, blah, 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 blah.
Yep, yep.
And then he took that information and whatever.
Mhm.
I guess I would like to see the fire and the police on the same level as the administrator underneath the board.
Well, yeah, you have your board, then you come down to your administrator, but there's nothing off from him as far as police matters, fire matters.
And that's how it is now.
They, protective services is here up to the board.
Yeah.
You know, and then, PFC. The only time you're gonna refer anybody to that is when you wanna fire them.
Mhm.
Or the hiring and stuff, or you're gonna promote demo, that's their business, but otherwise, everything else.
I guess I wanna confirm with you guys is if I'm gonna do the evaluations of my employees as I do. But as 3 of you, like, do you feel that my communication, if Dwayne asks for them, I will give them to him. But as far as like reporting to FHR, do you feel it would be adequate to say I've completed my annual evaluations and they are acceptable? If not, then I would request a closed session,
Yes.
to discuss anything further, but
here or in PFC?
well, PFC, see. Yeah, it's splitting those hairs, is because I know, like, our contract or our labor policy still says that we have the authority to give half of, the raise if you're not at the full wage, then you can give up to half the difference or some malarkey, but the truth is everybody's at the top scale right now. They're at their 3-year mark or higher. So they're at top wage, so it would just be the cost of living
Right, right.
increase that we're looking at.
It has the police department and separately has the fire department. Have you done annual evaluations of your employees?
Other than last year, when I was ordered to, no.
And it sounds like the fire department
Other
has
than
not.
when Jason was directed to, no. In
So there was no
100
annual,
years of the fire department being around.
there was
never
no
been.
annual, no performance evaluations.
Now, don't get me wrong, Boz is a military guy. In the military, you had semi-annual evals. And that semi-annual eval was to be scored for promotion reasons.
Mhm.
We don't have that here. There's no
Mhm.
promotion being subjected by.
And that's the
eval.
way the evaluations
When
were
you were
worded.
police chief, was there evaluation?
Every year, officially.
I'm used to, in the business side,
Mhm.
having evaluations every year.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I have no issue with that.
and so did you.
I mean, it's
You-
good,
you
I
talked
did.
to your,
I did, and that's the problem is.
it's good performance management.
But when I did a police eval, none of that went to the board. Back-
Agree, I agree with that. It's,
In the day, if it got to that point, then the Protective Safety Committee,
Mhm.
knew about it.
Right.
you hire good people to manage their people.
Mhm.
And you have to document your employees.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To go one way or the other if need be.
Yes,
Cause if
So
you,
those are
Right.
your
if
records.
you
Yeah.
ever wanna discipline, then you have to have a
Well-
paper trail or.
The civilian board and the administrators are civilian, and they know how to administer, but they don't have a clue about protective services, and I know I get too upset. But I do not like the condescending attitude of the way Ossip talked to Jason, demanding it. And I don't like where Dwayne's going with this, because there's probably some people on the board that want him to do this stuff. And I'm starting to catch on to a few things, and it's not pleasant. And I mean, you have discipline problems with anybody, that's your business, not the board's at that time. And if you have to take corrective action, okay, board, we'll find out what happened, but it's going to Scott Stewart.
The PFC.
Well, and that was the tone that I got was, well, we're gonna be discussing the budget. Are our employees doing good?
Oh, that's fine.
Red light, green
What does
light.
that matter?
Yeah,
From a financial standpoint, what are they gonna budget for raises for the employees?
So it's the standard 3% across the board, right?
Well, we've
Well,
done that
that's-
for years and we're not a big effing city. Why can't we just, everybody knows what everybody, you'd think that I wouldn't know if one of your guys is screwing up daily? I would know really quick.
we all know everything about it,
Thank
all
you.
of us,
And so,
you know what my weak
but
points are,
nobody
what my
thinks
strong
about,
points
okay, we're
are.
gonna give Saylor 3%, we're gonna give Hess 1.5% because he talked bad towards a trustee or something. You start splitting raises in a small community, in a small workforce, you're gonna start having problems.
Agreed. I'm still learning and I don't understand the budgeting and increase process.
So this is where I think a lot of the animosity started with protective service. Is we are employing two chiefs, department heads, to take care of their people.
Mhm.
What happens in the police house, what happens in the firehouse should stay in those unless the PFC comes to us and needs a decision one way or the other. When you have employees of said departments that are sending emails to specific people on the board and then they take that and run with it, and then that's what causes conflict and stuff, that's where we have to draw a line and stop that. We have to put the trust in the department heads, the chiefs, to manage their people.
Yeah, and if the board in operations comes to you and say, what's going on here? You have an obligation to let them know for an operations standpoint, like, how come, an ambulance call, nobody showed up or something like that. The board has the right to know about that. That's not a PFC issue at that time. But otherwise, you're absolutely right. PFC contacts you about a legitimate thing. Let's say it's about a firefighter or a police officer that's under investigation for something. But the missing cog in there a lot of times is these two individuals.
Absolutely.
You guys have got to refer them, not the board.
We also have to trust these
Mhm.
chiefs to take care of it on their own if need be and allow them to. Not, oh, Scott didn't make the right decision. Now we're gonna step in and we're gonna bypass you.
How many times did, you were only on board about a year until I retired, but my board never told me, never even thought of asking a question about something
Oh.
that they knew was there. And you have to have, like you just alluded to, the trust in these people.
Absolutely. So that's why I think it starts with the org chart.
Well, I kept my mouth shut when they started talking about this on FHR, or that could have been the last meeting before I got put on FHR. I don't know when it was. But I just,
And I didn't watch the meeting, so I'm just getting what, I was on my phone.
but they
On
can't be
vacation, but-
asking you for that stuff. If they wanna talk about a raise, I mean. It's very simple. If I was chairman of that committee, if there's something this committee needs to know, I'm gonna come in and see you. Hey, what is this shit all about?
Mhm.
Let's get her out in the open. And then when you have trustees starting to wanna make a mountain out of a molehill, you say, we're not going there.
And I guess my thought on the process would be, and every year I reach out to all the other agencies and get a, comparison so that it's out there. That to me would seem more useful to say, like when you're at the county, they don't say, well, how are your guys doing? Like, did you do your annual evals yet? We're thinking about only doing a 2% because, so I'd rather see it be taken by, okay, what are our comparables? How are we doing that way? What's the consumer price index, all that stuff? I'd be happy to do the legwork on that. I'm like, again, no problem doing the evals. It just to me seemed like, hey, let's do our evals so we know during this budget process what we're looking at. And it just seemed like A plus B didn't equal C.
We always talk about, oh, we're so back compared, we have, we're this size. We have heard no complaints. I've had people tell me when I was president, thanks for the 3%.
Mhm.
And what the hell's wrong with that? Did you ever hear from one? I never heard from one citizen. You gave 3% again?
Right.
Is it usually just a typical raise for,
It's generally 3. The police department, yep, the police department got a 5% this last year, the 2 officers. And again, I will approach that differently in the future, because that caused hard feelings with Public Works. I mean, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So I've learned that there's a different way to approach that, and we'll approach that in the future, but I asked for a 17% raise, they didn't get it.
oh. So is it typically all village employees are the
Bumper to
same?
bumper.
Okay,
Bumper to bumper, and apparently what's been done in the past is if there's a discrepancy, like in comparables, they typically would do a bump, instead of a percentage, they would do an adjustment. So let's say the police department's getting behind, they would do like a dollar bump for that pay, that scale, and then do the percentage on top of that. I wasn't aware of that and ruffled some feathers.
Okay, all I gotta say in closing on this issue, if you guys don't mind, is, if you see that on the FHR agenda, the more people in attendance, especially trustees, sometimes makes a difference. Because I have differences of opinion about the village administrator when it comes to the protective side, I really do.
Eric, would you agree that our point system for the LoSa kind of measures that,
It does.
that,
the point system, is that where you get points for attending
We get points for different activities and training and
the
school.
meetings and school?
And then that's where our pay is derived from. You get paid so much per point, and then you have to meet a certain minimum to qualify for. The retirement piece of it, but that still is the chief's discretion. On if they get it, like if they're close and they've come to a lot, or they had some kind of personal issue, he has the authority to say, all right, yes, this person qualifies.
Okay.
But he has to justify it if questioned. So. Okay, chief, anything else?
No, apparently squad 1 did get a little bit of hail damage on Saturday, but it's not, anything severe, nothing that needs to be replaced. As far as budget, at the end of April, we were sitting at 24% of the budget executed.
Do you expect to be near budget? Cause
Oh,
we're
yeah.
a third of the way in the year and they're 25%, so
Mhm.
are there upcoming expenses that are?
There's nothing major that I see as far as major purchases or anything
Okay.
like that. We did just purchase a lock for the back door, but I'm still figuring out where that's coming out of, because I didn't realize it was gonna be $600.
For your office? It's not even your budget.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. That come out of the,
That's
medical
municipal
arts.
Building, medical art.
okay. Thank you for that, because that's where I was going with it, hopefully, but,
And also, I've been telling you, son, for many years, you don't go to board meetings, say, oh, I saved all this money.
Right.
And you're gonna wanna have the same budget next year, and you're gonna end up, I'm not saying go over, but if you need
No,
something, buy it.
budget wise, I can foresee the fire department going over because of some repairs that got delayed from last year. We were told to stop spending our budget money and we turned in 30,000, so. That was all of engine 3 repairs will probably be.
Fourth quarter, beginning of fourth quarter, they were told not to spend any money.
I would say engine 3, all the repairs that are needed and are being done, probably 10 grand.
Well, things that you don't have any control of that come up, you know? I mean, when Gary Blue smucked the deer, put one of our 2 squad cars out. I didn't have the money anymore in maintenance, you know, in the expense budget to fix the squad, but we did it.
mhm.
That's just the way it goes, and those things are the things that you shuffle and have to have that hearing on. And take money out of my safety account that I didn't hardly use, and I paid for a squad car, but you gotta need board permission to do that. I mean, you do it. And sad to say, I've learned a lot in the last 5 weeks of which actually went on. And I should have been doing it before. Anyway,
Otherwise, any other questions for me?
not for me. I don't like that. Anybody got old business? And I don't mean just me, because I'm going to be 74 years.
Jesus.
You know what? I'm gonna stick my arm out the next time I see you, all right?
Well,
And if I can tell you're alone in there not with your better half and your children, I'm gonna have a good salute for you. Yeah, that one. New business.
I have nothing.
Hey, that might be a good agenda item. I'm not gonna, that we have to put on here especially. Just keep us really posted on that. You know, is the budget we keep going at. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Cause I would like to
I
have,
know I submitted April's version like Scott has. And May's
Almost done.
almost done, so I'll get that one in a week or so.
yeah, because I would really like to have something from the three of us, you know, approved to send to FHR to where the beginning of moving money around is
The
gonna.
other big expense was replacing the box of our rescue truck because the board decided not to buy us one.
So
When is budget time?
start, it used to be September, but now they start already when August.
Needs to be approved by November.
Okay.
Anybody get any correspondence?
No.
Agenda items, trustees, chiefs, outside of, keep us really posted on that. Next meeting, June 26th at 4:30 PM. And I'm glad the Wednesdays are working out because it doesn't get to have to force you down here on another night apart from the Wednesday. And you've had plenty of time now to go over to the station, right? Do your work over there before the meeting.
Usually the weekend before.
All right, anything from trustee Saylor, trustee Hess?
So for the next meeting, I have a double header in Westfield, but I can attend via phone if need be.
The PIT, Eaton Pit, they call it whatever, is the 19th, and they usually try to double those up. So I don't know
Oh, no, I knew she was gonna change it.
to the night, well, it was Tuesday, but then 6/19. At 5:30,
Yeah, and
it's the 26th.
this is 26.
Okay.
Okay. Darn it.
Yeah,
I will, without objection, I'll declare the meeting adjourned at 5:08 PM. Thank you, chief, for making me over.
I know, I had to bring up hot topic.
Still trying to beat one of Sailor's.
You're still not gonna beat me.
I don't think I'm ever gonna get there.
What's
Goes in